Welcome to the Folktale Project. This is Dan Scholz. Today we have our final story from Joseph Jacobs, and this one is one of my favorites. It's the best telling of Goldilocks and the Three Bears, mainly because it doesn't include Goldilocks. This has a fox. This is Scrapefoot. Once upon a time there were 3 bears who lived in a castle in a great wood. One of them was a great big bear, and one was a middling bear, and one was a little bear. And in the same wood there was a fox who lived all alone. His name was Scrapefoot. Scrapefoot was very much afraid of the bears, but for all that he wanted very much to know all about them. And one day, as he went through the wood, he found himself near the bears' castle, and wondered whether he could get into the castle. He looked all about him everywhere, and he could not see anyone, so he came up very quietly, till at last he came up to the door of the castle, and he tried whether he could open it. Yes, the door was not locked. And he opened it just a little way, and put his nose in and looked, and he could not see anyone, so then he opened it a little way farther, and put one paw in, and then another paw, and another, and then he was all in the bear's castle. He found he was in a great hall, with 3 chairs in it, one big, one middling, and one little chair. And he thought he would like to sit down and rest and look about him. So he sat down on the big chair. But he found it so hard and uncomfortable that it made his bones ache, so he jumped down at once, and he got into the middling chair. And he turned round and round in it, but he couldn't make himself comfortable, so he went to the little chair and sat down in it. And it was so soft and warm and comfortable that Scrapefoot was quite happy. But all at once it broke to pieces under him, and he couldn't put it back together again. So he got up and began to look about him again, and on one table he saw 3 saucers, one of which was very big, one was middling, and one was quite a little saucer. Scrapefoot was very thirsty, and he began to drink out of the big saucer. But he only just tasted the milk in the big saucer, which was so sour and so nasty that he would not taste another drop of it. Then he tried the middling saucer, and he drank a little of that. He had 2 or 3 mouthfuls, but it was not nice. And then he left it and went on to the little saucer, and the milk in the little saucer was so sweet and so nice that he went on drinking it till it was all gone. Then Scrapefoot thought he would go upstairs, and he listened, and he could not hear anyone, so upstairs he went. And he found a great room with 3 beds in it. One was a big bed, one was a middling bed, and one was a little white bed. And he climbed up into the big bed, but it was so hard and lumpy and uncomfortable that he jumped down again at once and tried the middling bed. That was rather better, but he could not get comfortable in it, so after turning about a little while he got up and he went to the little bed, and that was so soft and so warm and so nice that he fell fast asleep at once. After a time the bears came home, and when they got into the hall the big bear went to his chair and said, "Who's been sitting in my chair?" And the middling bear said, "Who's been sitting in my chair?" And the little bear said, "Who's been sitting in my chair and has broken it all to pieces?" And then they went to have their milk, and the big bear said, "Who's been drinking my milk?" And the middling bear said, "Who's been drinking my milk?" And the little bear said, "Who's been drinking my milk and has drunk it all up?" Then they went upstairs and into the bedroom, and the big bear said, "Who's been sleeping in my bed?" And the middling bear said, "Who's been sleeping in my bed?" And the little bear said, "Who's been sleeping in my bed? And see, here he is." So then the bears came and wondered what they should do with him. And the big bear said, "Let's hang him." And then the middling bear said, "Let's drown him." And then the little bear said, "Let's throw him out of the window." And then the bears took him to the window, and the big bear took 2 legs on one side, and the middling bear took 2 legs on the other side, and they swung him backwards, and out of the window. Poor Scrapefoot was so frightened, and he thought every bone in his body must be broken. But he got up and shook one leg. No, that was not broken. And then another, and that was not broken, and another, and then he wagged his tail and found there were no bones broken. So then he galloped off home as fast as he could, and he never went near the bear's castle again. And that is my favorite version of the Goldilocks story. Scrapefoot, the story of a fox. And I love the fox. I love the three bears in this, the way that they react, and just their punishments of Scrapefoot are just wonderful. And I also love the fact that he gets away at the end, because really, what did he do? He broke a chair, he took a nap, and he drank some milk. Breaking the chair is not great, but still, shouldn't be ground for that. This is Dan Scholz from the Folktale Project. Don't forget that you can subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play, Overcast, anywhere you like to get your podcasts. You can follow us on Twitter at Folktale Project. You can find us on Auto Radio, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, Spotify, anywhere you like to listen. And you can always head over to folktaleproject.com, where you'll find a new story waiting for you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Next week, we'll be back with 3 new tales. As always, thank you so much for listening.